Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to talk about creativity and how can it be taught in classrooms and what are the effects of meta-creativity pedagogy. Don't worry about the concepts. I'll explain them in a few minutes. Well, I would like to start what we started this morning, NASA study on creativity. NASA designed a study to select creative scientists and engineering. And Professor Land designed the test, and he found it works very well. So he decided to give the test to kindergarten children, then to elementary school children, 10 years old, high school students, 15 years old, and of course the adults. And what he found is that at the genius level, the top level, 98% of the kindergarten children were at the top level, genius level he called it, 30% at the age of 10, 12% at the age of 15, and 2% at the age adults. So the NASA, I skipped it, but NASA blamed the educational system for having that. I mean, it talks by itself, so I don't have to elaborate about that. And the conclusion was we are born creative. So I don't like to blame the educational system. I thought, is it reversible? Can we do it differently so the numbers would be different? So I designed the meta-creativity pedagogy, and I followed Bill's concept, habits of mind. And I use the acronym CREATE to foster creativity. I use the acronym CREATE. First of all, I like very much acronym. And secondly, the teachers and the students recall it very easily. So the C stands for core problem and subproblems. What is the problem all about? Can I divide the big problem into small problems, subproblems, and see how it works? The R stands for reconstruct connections to generate new ideas, explaining and experimenting. I myself believe very much on explaining, wording, and using words to explain what I'm thinking of. And then the A, okay, I solved the problem. I might solve the problem, but what are additional ideas I can use, additional strategies, methods, technology, in order to solve the problem in a creative way? And I like very much the T, true, but, okay, everything works well, but maybe I didn't take all the considerations about the constraints, maybe my solution is too expensive, maybe it doesn't work so well. So think again about what you were doing and think maybe you can do it differently. And of course, evaluation, the E stands for evaluation, and see how it works. Okay. I had by the way, I didn't have here on the slide the definition of meta-creativity. Meta-creativity, metacognition is thinking about thinking or cognition about cognition. And meta-creativity means being creative about about creativity, or being aware about the creative process and try to monitor it and control it in an effective way. So just a moment. So I wanted to test the CREATE and see how it works in classrooms. And when I was the president of a teacher of College of Education, I tried it with my students. It worked very well. I then tried it in high school in mathematics classrooms. And what I would like to report here is about elementary school students. So what we did, we have an experimental group and control group. It was much before we had this meeting in London. We showed the students, Israeli students, we showed them a slide of we call it the London Bridge. I know it's not the official name, and some history about the London Bridge. And then we asked the students two questions. One was, it was in mathematics. One was, what are the mathematical elements in the bridge? And the one that I would like to report here, how would you change the London Bridge? That was the question. And as you can see here, we have, of course, the experimental group and control group. both groups started at the same point, actually. And the experimental group, in originality, went much higher. And the control group went a little bit down. And I asked myself, why did they decrease their originality? And I think it's, if you think about students, their first reaction or their first response, they gave everything they thought about. But then, if they were retested after a while to do it with a experimental group, they have less original ideas than they had before. Whereas the experimental group, who had the create in front of them, they were flourishing, they decreased a lot. And I have also the same findings for fluency and flexibility in terms of Torrance model. I didn't bring it here. 7 minutes, I have to finish. So I would like to give you some examples of original ideas. How would you change the London Bridge? So I translated from Hebrew. So put a device in the bridge to purify the river water. Is it original? I guess so. Show movies on the screen. And some kids actually took a marker and put a rectangular here and put a screen here and to show movies. Add an automatic machine to collect money for those who want to get into the tower. You talk about students or children who never saw the London Bridge before. Plant trees on the upper side of the bridge, so it would be more colorful. Widen the bridge for cars. Put an advertisement between the two towers, I love London. And construct a terrace on the upper bridge for tourists. So I have many, many more. I just gave you some examples of original ideas. And when we decided to go into categories, there were design ideas, scientific ideas, math ideas, economy, technology, constructions, and tourism. This is 6th grade students. So I'm finishing. So what are the conclusions and the open questions? And I'll relate to Bill's 2 questions. First of all, creativity can be enhanced by meta-creativity pedagogies, elementary and secondary schools, in math and science classrooms. This is what I tested. What are the long-term effects of meta-creativity pedagogies? We don't know yet. To what extent can the effects of meta-creativity be transferred to other domains? To what extent the positive effects of meta-creativity are a function of the task novelty? This task that I showed you is very novel for the students. By the way, we gave him, I think a month later, we gave him the same task about the Israel parliament building and asked them, how would you change the Israel parliament building? And the answers are extremely nice. And I think the main idea is how can we continue our international collaboration about that. So going to your questions, I think 2 factors have to be integrated. One is we need tasks that would enhance creativity, task bank or so on. This is one. And the other one is we need the pedagogies in order to activate the task. If there is no pedagogies, from my experience, and only the tasks, it's like having an account in the bank which is blocked and one has to activate it in order to use it. And in terms of professional development, again, I'm now involved in a very big project in which we integrate social, yeah, 10 seconds. Social, emotional learning and cognitive learning. And I have the experience, first-hand experience of teachers who don't know what to do with creativity, don't know what to do less with critical thinking. So we have to put our efforts in professional development. Thank you.
Thank you.